Good evening, or should I say good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are within this world. I'm Elizabeth George, Director of Member Engagement and Chapter Development with the American Guild of Organists, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to part 2 of Growing Your Membership. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes. You are muted, but we do want to hear from you. So please use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen to post your questions. And throughout Shannon's presentation, we will stop, we'll answer questions. We won't wait till the very end. We want this to be very interactive. And as with all of our webinars, we will be recording it. Probably within 24 hours, it will be uploaded onto our website, and I will send out an email with a link to it. So I'm excited today because we're going to take a really deep dive into how you can promote your events on Facebook and also on YouTube. So I'm delighted to introduce again Shannon Foer, who is Senior Director of Global Accounts and Project Management at globaltravel.com. He oversees a membership base of over 65,000 individuals. I just always think that's amazing every time I say that. He's got 25 plus years of solid business in marketing and sales and project management in travel, membership, and enterprise development industries. He's worked for Tourico Holidays, Dynatech, Universal Studios Orlando, and the Walt Disney Company. He holds an MBA from Stetson University and a bachelor's degree from Rollins College with certifications in project management and human resources management. He is currently working on his PhD, as if he's not busy enough, in organizational leadership and business strategy from Columbia International University. And I said this last time, and I have to say it again, he's just an incredible landscape designer and horticulturalist. He can grow anything. He really can. If you've ever seen photos of his garden, they're just absolutely extraordinary. So who better than to talk about growing your membership? So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Shannon Foer. The floor is yours, Shannon.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I really do appreciate it. And that was a very kind introduction. You got me blushing here a little bit. And I'm happy everyone's here that has joined us. And as Elizabeth said, we're going to be talking a little bit tonight about 2 topics. And number one, that is going to be how to create an event on Facebook, and then also how to share that event and also boost that event. And when I say boost on Facebook, that actually means market it with some marketing dollars behind it in order to back that up. The other thing I'm going to show you, and I think we'll have time, is how to set up a YouTube account and then upload videos so it can be open to the general public and push and upload videos out there for everyone. Something I do want to mention is, as Elizabeth said, there will be opportunities here through chat to ask questions along the way. I'm going to be very informal here. It's not going to be one of these I gotcha or whatever. I understand that some folks with regard to social media and Facebook are absolute, they know it backwards and forwards. I also understand that there are people that are afraid of a computer. So I'm here to help out those chapters that maybe need a little bit of assistance or a little bit of encouragement here. I know that I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I do want to point out that this is, it is an enormous opportunity, not only for your chapter to get new members and also visitors. And I think that the majority of us work within or work at the church. Something else to keep in mind is everything I'm going to tell you today can be applicable to your church as well. And that being said, what I'm going to do is I will share my screen and we'll get started. And by the way, Elizabeth, if she hasn't already, she's going to be sending you basically notes that I have put together that cover everything that I'm going to talk about tonight in case you miss something along the way here. So you'll have those notes. So step one, when you're inside of your Facebook account for your chapter, or if anybody's been assigned to create a Facebook account for the purposes of creating a chapter page, this is basically how you do it. First of all, you just go in and you press this plus button, you create a page, you create a Facebook page. It's very easy to do. You simply go to the facebook.com and you click the create a new account. Anybody can do it. It's pretty simple. You just kind of sign in and go from there. What you do from there is I have my alter ego here, isn't that funny? I have a test account that I've set up for you guys for this. What I've done is I've gone through and I've created, you could say, a quote unquote page, and we can pretend that it's a chapter page. And when you log in, everybody will always have these options on the left side of the page over here. And where we would have a new page, where we would have a new page, or if you haven't created one already, you can actually create a page, and not literally like a chapter page right from here. And I'm telling you, it's just click one button, create the new page. And then you fill out each one of these little bits of information on your left side. You could type in over here. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'll go ahead and do it anyway, because there are some folks that may have not done even a chapter page yet. But let's say chapter XYZ, category, let's say music. We can type in musician, live music. Let's just put musician for now. Description, the XYZ chapter of the American Guild of Organists. And then I click create page. And it's creating it down here. There's a little gear moving. Okay, so it now says that the XYZ chapter was created. Now you can add photos or go to your page and add more details. So what I can do is I'll actually just go ahead and add that information, add picture for profile. Let me go over into my AGO file and see if I have something that would be pertinent. So let's say I just upload this image right here. I know it's not exactly perfect or where it needs to be, but for the purposes of how it would look here, I'll just go ahead and put that over in that section there. I click save. And you'll see here it's populated some of that information that I put over here. And you can always go back and change it if you mess it up. Connect your Facebook with your WhatsApp page. We'll just X that out right now. Leave. So now we actually have the basis of a page. We can continue to add more information, and really that's all you're doing is simply going through all these little buttons and filling in the information which may be missing. And so what I can do really quick here, I can choose from photos. I'll upload another image here. I can drag that down. It's actually a logo that I did for the local chapter quite a few years ago. And then what else do we have to do here? Groups, events, more, chapter. Okay. Here, actions, like. Go over here, establish your page's identity. What that means is I have created the page name, I chose the category, I added the profile pic, I added the description, I go down and then let's see here, what else do I need to do? And it tells you what's left to do. So again, this is very intuitive. You just basically follow the steps. So does your website already have a website? or your business already have a website. What you would do here is you would add the local chapter website. Over here, you would add the location information if you have one. If you don't, you can just skip it. You can also put a local contact, whoever you'd like to have in that area, if you'd like. You don't have to do that. And then we have one more thing, introduce your page. This is actually where you would introduce your page to folks that are already inside of your chapter. So you would click that button and then you would invite the folks. They would show up here if you had them in here to like your page. And then actually that's really, I know it's very rudimentary, but that's all you have to do in order to create a new page inside of Facebook. So now getting into promoting an event. So first of all, just to explain, it's always important, and I know it kind of goes without saying, but it's always important to, first of all, always go into Facebook monthly, and you can do this all at once if you guys have your events already planned out for the entire season, or you can go along as you're planning or as you're putting together your season to create an event for each one of your programs that you do have. Okay, then you can make the decision whether or not to put marketing dollars behind it and promote it out into the Facebook marketplace or into the Facebook world, let's say. So let's go ahead and let's create our first event. It's very simple. As I mentioned, you go to, go ahead.
And I just have a couple of questions here.
Yep.
First of all, Diane asked, does the AGO logo work as a banner? Is it the right size? We can give it to you in the right size. You can manipulate it.
Oh, yeah.
Question, how do you get your chapter members contacts to invite?
What you need to do is you have to start, if you guys are just starting from scratch, what you have to do is you have to join Facebook. So let's say Jane Doe creates their page. We'll have Shannon Lee here. What you would have to do is you would have to go out into the Facebook landscape or find out from your friends who's already on Facebook and start inviting them to be friends. And the way that you do that is you go over here and it says see all friends. And then what you would do is you go here and you search, and you can actually go in. The reason why I don't have anything in my profile, it's a brand new profile. I don't have the ability to get to anybody else. But what you would start doing is you would go over here to this friend profile and you would look at friend request. And then you would also go over and click find friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting question. This is from Lynn Francisco, the Facebook admin for Durham Chapel Hill in Central North Carolina. We have a dedicated email address on Gmail. However, when we tried to enter it on Facebook, it rejected it as an invalid email address. Is there a way to get around this? The email address is valid. That's a new one.
Yeah, that is a new one. Gosh, that's a good question because my company actually uses Gmail for some of the logins in order to get into this. So I don't quite know, but it's really easy. I mean, if you want to use that, you would need to try to figure that out. If worse comes to worse, just Google it. How do I get my Gmail to work on Facebook in order to create a new account?
That's a great answer.
My CEO even does that. So, that is a very good question. It could also possibly be that there may be some sort of a block, but I don't want to get into hypotheticals there. I know that some of the companies can be funny about that. For example, YouTube is really funny about that because they are owned by Gmail. Facebook isn't owned by Gmail, so by Google, sorry. YouTube is owned by Google. Google owns Gmail.
Oh, I just learned something. Okay, we want to go on, but I've got two more questions here. Our chapter established a Facebook page several years ago when the creation process was quite different and far less comprehensive. Would it be smart to delete the existing page and create a new one using the new process?
No, I would keep I would keep the old page. And the reason why you want to do that is because you have all of this data that has already been populated inside of your account. There's all this historical data, and you have probably already received a whole bunch of people that have liked it and people that have friended the page. You don't want to go down the road of trying to do that all over again, because what'll happen is you'll lose all of that data. You'll lose all of that information and all of your friends that are friends of that chapter of the Facebook page. What I would do is I would go to that page, your chapter Facebook page, and I would go ahead. Actually, there's another account in here, and it would probably look like this. If you look over here to the left side, over here under Manage Page, and again, if you're taking notes here, you can do it kind of like this. Just pretend you've just logged in. You look to your left. You go down to that page that you just asked me about that you guys have had for a long time. We'll pretend it's another, chapter and it needs to be updated. You go down over here. There's two ways you can do that. You can do that just by going through the page and doing it and editing it yourself here, and literally just go. And this is how I learned how to do all this stuff. I literally just went through and clicked every single button and just tried to understand everything under each one of these little buttons here. A lot of what would need to be changed is going to be under your About section probably. And then let me just check one other thing. And then the other stuff is right over here under Settings and under Edit Page Information. And if I click Edit Page Information, this is where all of that stuff can be updated. So you'll see this is set up for global travel. That's part of my company. This is another demo page for my company, but that's where you would update some of that information.
Shannon, just one more question before you move on. How does it work with passwords from personal accounts? Any issues?
No, there's no issues with personal accounts, but the way that you control that is you go over here, and so you understand how all this works. When you've got people coming in and there maybe somebody's in charge of marketing, or maybe somebody's in charge of posting, or you've got your dean or your sub dean and you want to give them access. The way that would work is you click Settings, and then you go over to Page Roles. Page Info, where did it go? Page Roles, see it right over here. And by the way, it's okay to go through each one of these, click on them, and just read it. See what it says. Try to learn something new, But to get back to your question, Page Roles. This is the area where, let's say I want to invite Elizabeth over to my account. First of all, they have to be friends of either the chapter website or your friend in order for you to invite them. But this is how you would assign a new role, a new page role. So let's say I wanted to add Elizabeth in here. I would type in her name. She's not, I don't think you're in here, Liz. Maybe you will be, because it's opened up to everybody. There's lots of Elizabeth Georges. I would find the right Elizabeth George, and then this is where you assign somebody. You give them their permissions. Admin, you get access to everything. Editor is you can edit the website, but you can't assign anybody privileges like I'm doing right now. Advertiser, you'd be able to do event posting and things like that. And then you would click Add, And inside of Elizabeth's account, she'll get a little notification on Facebook, and you'd say, hey, Elizabeth, can you check your notifications to see if you got that invite? And that's kind of how you manage all of that. But that's actually how you don't manage it by email. You manage this, you assign the roles through this area back in here inside of page settings. Emails are just used in order to access Facebook itself and to create a page or whatever. Make sense? Let me get back over here to my page. Oh, you know what? I didn't save that example that I did, when I did that hypothetical. It's okay. We'll pretend that I did that hypothetical, right? I didn't publish it. That's why it didn't work. That was the final step before that one extra question came through. But let's go ahead and go back to the point of what we're doing here. And it is, of course, asking questions like this and learning this system because it is so powerful. And that would be, as I mentioned before, it's important to go ahead and make sure that you have your events published and posted for all your upcoming events. So what you do, depending on how your page is laid out, it'll either be right here or it'll be under the More button. And you go over here and you click Events. And it will show you all of the upcoming events that are coming up. It'll show you the past events if you have any. And then right over here, you have the ability to create a new event. So step 1, create new event. So when you get into this area here, you have the ability to create 2 different types of events. You can do an online event or an in-person event. An in-person event would be a traditional event where you're all showing up there live, kind of straightforward. An online event would be, let's just focus on it being a Facebook Live event, like we've done in the past with the AGO. And some of you may or may not be familiar with Facebook Live, or adding an external link that would link out to an online event that could be third party, like with a church, an organ concert at a church or whatever. But let's just say we're setting up a traditional in-person event. So, let's say that David Higgs is coming and playing at XYZ church. So we click in person. We go over here, and again, we just start to fill out all the information. So we start at the top, and we'll work our way down. We'll pretend that this says chapter XYZ, right, that we did in that first example. And we can put David Higgs concert. Then we select the date, and we'll say it's on Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's not a recurring event. Recurring event, just so you guys, if anybody's in here doing stuff for their church, that's when you could do a recurring 11 o'clock service. Or if you have something that always happens on a Tuesday night or whatever, that's where you would put that information. The description, I can't type at the And then under category, you can go and choose the category. I'm going to pick music. They're all preloaded, by the way. Under fundraiser, this isn't a fundraiser, but what's neat about this feature is you can go in and you can choose what kind of event this is. Music. Why is this saying fundraiser? Well, we'll go ahead and we'll click next. Then we would type in the physical address. And the neat thing about Facebook is it has just about everything in it. So we'll say that it's at my church upcoming. And then we click next. This is where I can go ahead and I can add, the event settings is where I change it from it being a fundraiser or not. This is where I can change the image. So I can delete that image. And then I could go in and I could find an image of, oh, I do have an image of David. So he was here a couple of years ago over at Knowles Chapel. Admission ticket, add ticket link. If you want to do that, you can do so by just adding a ticket URL. But if you don't know how to do that or don't have that, you just click cancel. Event settings, show to get, don't worry about that. And then you click publish event. And it's publishing it right over here. What's neat about that is it now has been posted within the account that you created it. So right now it's living inside of that page that I created. If you see it right over here, interacting as global travel, it's that sample account. Now this is where you have the opportunity to finish a couple other tasks here. As I mentioned, you do have the ability to share the event. You have the ability to invite people to come to this event. You can also edit it if you have the permissions to do so. And then you also have the ability to go ahead and boost the event for marketing purposes. Right now, just so you guys understand, I've posted it. It's only going to be, you could say, seeable or viewable to people that are members of that group currently. And let's say that it's that XYZ chapter that we created. So if you don't have anybody that's part of that group already, then you're going to probably need to make sure that you invite people that are members of the chapter, and they'll be able to see all those groups, see all those events that come up. And then they'll be viewable in the events section of the page itself. And so I'll go back and I'll show you what I mean. And what we do is we go back over and we look at events. Now, where did it go? That's odd. Hold on just a second. Let me try it again here. That's odd. We can say we can review, right? So as a review. We'll pick Universal Studios because it's the first one. Publish event. I think it's because I published the event, and I didn't boost the event or I didn't share it. So step number one, add a few final details, 0, 1 through 3 steps completed. Completing this list could help your event attract more guests. So the first thing I need to do is I need to share it to my group itself. That's what I didn't do. So I can go ahead and put everyone and then I click share. I also have the opportunity to, oh, okay, yeah, oh, create event. Okay, create my event. It's asking me to do a cover photo. Why is it doing that? Edit. Create. And then it's actually going to ask you to boost the online event here, but I'll take you through that in just a second. Why is it using that picture? Run editing. Sorry, guys. The thing about Facebook is they're constantly updating and trying new things.
And it's Monday, you know?
And it's Monday.
We talked about that.
Oh, isn't that funky? So let's say we want to go ahead and we want to boost the event. But what I was going to say, it's really important for you to go ahead and invite people, even though you've already shared it to the page. If you have an established page for your chapter, you will have a list of people in here that will already be populated automatically. And then you can, you basically just click them, and then you click this little button down here and you click send invites. But let's click the boost event button. And now this is taking it just from sharing it from our Facebook page to actually taking the event and marketing it. I'm going to change that picture. I don't know why it wanted to use that. Hi, David. So how do we want our ad to look? So then if you look over here, it'll change the content when you start writing it. So you can kind of see where it is. It adds the information right up here. So description, we write it again because it's an actual sponsored ad. And as you can see, it kind of updates over here the information that this is an ad preview. So that's kind of what we're putting together over here on the left. This is actually how it will be displayed in somebody's what's called a feed. So those are the things that you see along the way when you're scrolling or browsing through the internet, on Facebook. So then we go down and then we have our audience. The way that this works is it's always important to create some sort of an audience so you have a way to target who you're sending and who's going to be seeing this this ad that we're putting together when we boost this post. What it does typically is it defaults to actually promoting it to everybody. And that's great, but it's actually promoting it globally, and it's very expensive. And if I have a budget of $2, the budget's going to run out very, very quickly. So let me see here. Now, if you guys out there, I know somebody asked about an old Facebook page. As I mentioned, it's constantly collecting data. And when you have the button here and it says audience, people who should choose through targeting or create your new audience. If you have an old page and it's promulgated a lot of that information, like that other one that you have, it'll actually have audience center, you trying to close the dialog box, confirm. It'll actually have an opportunity for you down here where you don't have to do that. And what it does, you don't have to create your own group of audience members in order that would view this. What it will do is actually take all the information that it's been collecting over the years. And it will say something along the lines of create an audience similar to XYZ chapter. And then that's kind of what you want to use. And then from there, if you have to go in and you have to go and create a new group, it's actually very easy. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it worry you. You can just say David Higgs event. All genders, all ages, locations. What you want to do, you do want to try to narrow it down, and we'll say that it's over by this zip code, which is closer to me. And then the next thing you do over here, you can adjust the typical area around you. What it does is it defaults to a 25-mile radius of the area, or the easiest way to do it is to put in your zip code, like I said. So it'll default to 25 miles around that area, which is typically how far somebody's usually, wanting to drive. So the potential reach is 42,000 people that are within that area. If you want to get into detailed targeting, we could probably have a whole nother class on this, but we don't have to do that. But you can actually target people by their education level, their field of study, the type of work that they do, life events, birthdays, work. It just goes on and on. But I don't want to get into something that would be so complicated in order to do that. So you could just, like I mentioned before, just go ahead and you name the audience.
I do have a question from Lynn again. She says, I do have a lot of AGO members among my friends list, but I've been able to invite others who were not on my friends list. Has this been changed now on Facebook that all people who liked the chapters page can now be invited to events created on Facebook?
Yes. Yeah, it actually depends if you're, and I don't want to add another layer of complexity to the conversation, but if your web page, if your Facebook page is open to the public and not an actual group, it's actually literally open to everybody. So the answer would be yes, anybody potentially can see it, and it's not just people that are members of the group. If you want to create a private group for your chapter, that's another, some people do that to keep it so it's, kind of closed off from the public. But I wouldn't do that because I think it's about trying to reach more people. So, but yeah, you can go in and invite friends, anybody that you want to do that. So what I'll do, whoops, darn it, I didn't save it, David Higgs. Oh, it's right there. So what it did is as I mentioned before, is it saved it. Hold on a second, guys. You can see that 32825 is the area code that I live in, and it pulls everybody that lives within this area that has a Facebook account. And that number is 42,000 people. Now, if I wanted to do it, more, I would just add more zip codes. Another thing I could do is I could type in the address of the church. Don't you love Mondays? There we go. Zellia Park United Methodist Church. So what it's doing here, and it'll do it on the other program as well, if you type in the zip code. So what I did is I have the church here, and then you can drop your pin, and you can also expand the circle here. So it's only going 1 mile out, and there's 29,000 people that live within 1 mile of the church. Can you believe that? That have a Facebook account. So let's say that we want to do it, let's say we want to do it 30 miles out. There's 2.5 million people. So it's exponential. So we'll bring it in, we'll do it to, let's say, people that live within 5 miles away. And there's 380,000 people. It's pulling more information in for the actual address of the church than it did for the zip code. I know you guys might be wondering why there are more people within a smaller radius, but that's why it does that. It pulls in more information along the way. So our potential reach is 380,000 people. So that's, let me just expand it to this one, 10 miles. Crazy. So you see how it changes. So let's say we'll do with an 8 mile radius, save audience. Now the next thing that we do is we go in and we put in here the duration of the actual ad. So let's say that we have our event, it's coming up on the 26th. The way that we want to, this ad has to reach for 25 days. Let me just see here. And date is in the past. Well, for some reason, it's not letting me do this, guys, and I apologize for the way that it's working here. But typically, what you do, you basically just change. You basically put in the end date, the calendar date that you would like the system to stop the campaign itself. So what we would have here is we would have a start date. It's taking it from the date of the event, the beginning date. And for some reason, it's not plugging in the 26th. I don't know why it's doing that. But you can add the number of days here. And then it'll tally up the number of people that you could potentially reach during that number of days. And of course, the more that you spend daily, the more people that it would reach typically. Again, it's not calculating because there's just, for some reason, it's just not letting me do it. It's probably because I don't have a credit card payment in here. But the reason why it's doing it, because it's a test account. After you finish all of these things, you would just go ahead and you would click the Boost to Post button, Boost Event Now, and then it would push it out into all of Facebook. And that way it would basically, hopefully get folks between now and the date of the event. That's why it didn't do it. I put it as the 7th of today, 7 o'clock today. That's why it's not letting me do it. It's my fault. Edit options. Choose, there you go. Create now. Change. Boost post. Boost trade. Go back. Yes. No. So this is kind of a good learning experience because we can actually go in and we can edit the event if we mess it up the first time around. So let's say we want to just go ahead and do this over again and do it right. Start date, the 26th at 7. And then we have the information here. I would have typed it in. Category music. Next, location. Next. And again, you know, something to keep in mind here, you know, it's okay to make mistakes. You can always fix them, right? And then we publish the event. It's publishing. And as you can see, when you get used to doing this, it's very easy to do. It doesn't take long at all. Share the event. Share. Did I lose everybody? Boost the event. There we go. Remember, it saved the profiles that I put in here. So if we go back and then I type in that most recent one that we did, where it takes it from the Azalea Park United Methodist Church, that audience profile that we built, I selected that. It's already in there. It keeps it. And then over here, because I updated the date, it basically means that if I spend you know, and I can edit the actual amount per day, I can reach this many people. So that total target audience was like, I can't remember, it was like 800,000 people, I think. And if I spend $26 a day, and I can take it back if we don't want to do that. If I spend $5 a day for the next 13 days, minimum budget is $1 a day. Your budget needs to be at least $13. Okay. It's because of the group size. Huh. You used to be able to do it whatever price you wanted, but I guess they do it based upon the radius now of the people here that are within that group. So 800,000. So okay, using that scenario again. So if we run our budget at 13 days, our campaign at 13 days, and we spend $13, oh, they do that. It's doing it by total budget. My goodness, Elizabeth, they keep changing stuff. It's crazy. It used to do it per day. It was $1 a day budget. My goodness.
That's the way it showed on the last webinar that you did. Yeah, that's really weird.
Crazy. So, okay. Okay, so it does it by total. So let's say we want to try to get, you know, quite a few people out there in the Facebook world to see David. So if we want to spend as a chapter, say, okay, guys, how much do we want to spend on promoting David's concert on Facebook to the general public within a 8-mile radius of the church? Oh, okay, well, let's spend $100, or you guys can do however much you want to do. And this number will actually change if you do less days. But what it will do at the end of the day is it will show you that the potential estimated daily results. Now this is daily, so that's going to compound over the time period. You have the potential to reach anywhere between 600 or so to 2,000 people. So you multiply that by the 13 days, and you're looking at a minimum of, what is that? Roughly 8,000 to 24,000. I know that that's a large swing, but anywhere between 8,000 and 24,000 people within 8 miles of the church that are on Facebook are going to see David's ad and potentially come. The other thing that they'll do, if they want to come, they'll actually click that interested button, and the system will actually record the way that will record how many people click interested. But basically, that's how that works. I'm sorry about the technical problems that we had there, but I think that's basically generally how that works. So the first way that I did it, I was just setting up the event for the chapter itself. In this section here, I've actually set up a marketing boost post where I am marketing to a group of individuals. And I do want everybody to understand, I did go in and I created a custom audience. If you guys don't want to go through there and do all of that and worry about this other stuff, you don't have to. The system does it by itself, and it'll give you an idea of how large the reach is based upon how much money you spend. So that's basically how that works. And then in order to launch it, you would click the boost event now, and then that would actually start the event today. Any questions, guys? Hey, Elizabeth, are you there? Not sure what happened. It looks like I still have some folks here. It looks like everybody's still here. You raised your hand, Susan LeGrand. Let me see. Okay, great. Sorry about that. Still here. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Any other questions? Let me go over here. I'm not sure what happened. Is the cost to have? No, there's no cost to having a Facebook page. It's all free. And Lynn, don't worry about all the questions. I occasionally get messages from Facebook offering some money amount, $10. I would definitely take advantage of that. There's really nothing to lose, and you'll get a full report about how many people it actually reached, and whether or not it was successful. But yeah, those are legitimate when they come through. Whenever you create a new event, to be perfectly offered, is there a cost in not advertising? Not correct. Whenever you create a new event, it's always going to ask you if you want to boost the event. So you'll come up with those ads pretty often when they come through. Let's see, very interesting. Yeah, the good, bad, and ugly, that's correct. That does happen. And I appreciate you guys' understanding, but I think it does kind of show you that it's really not that difficult to do. I'm gonna lose all that information, but again, you would just go ahead if you wanted to add another one and go back and just do another event, and you basically just start over again. Or you can go over here and create another event. There's so many easy ways to do this. Create new event. It's the same step. And Elizabeth, I don't know if we're going to have time for YouTube. I don't think
probably not. Probably not. We might need to have just a whole separate webinar on that, and I
Yeah,
apologize because I'm having problems with my connectivity tonight.
right.
And I know I can see there's some questions down here and
Yeah.
I can't seem to pull them all the way. So I apologize, but
No, it's totally fine, and I'll be happy to answer those. Susan, how are payments handled when you boost an event? It will be built, first of all, when you go into Facebook, and this also will answer Clarice's question, does the event cost or just the boosting? Whenever you go into Facebook, whenever you have an account or anything like that, it doesn't ask you for any kind of credit card information because Facebook is free. There's no cost to be part of it. Now, when you boost an event and you go through that whole process that I showed you, it will ask you for a credit card. And if I were to press boost event, it wouldn't boost unless I had a credit card in there. The credit card that you put on file will be billed to whoever's credit card that's associated to. If it's a personal account, it'll go to your account. If it's the chapter account, it'll go to your chapter account. That's a good question. Yeah, technology, exactly.
I know James Thomashower had a question. I can't pull it up. Do you see it, Shannon? It was about how many people I believe you can attract.
Oh, yeah, does the AGO, well, generally speaking, when, okay, so if we go over to in-person, well, I'm just trying to think of a good way to answer that. Generally speaking, the opportunity is everybody that is associated with Facebook. So you could almost say that it's unlimited, the potential reach. That's why you kind of have, it's a good idea that you go in and you create an audience, a custom audience when you're doing that. Does that answer the question?
Well, I think that makes sense. I mean, you really want to target your audience, don't you? You want that's you want to get the bang for the buck.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we look at audience, and you guys can always go in and play with this, you know, it's not going to do anything. Even if you try to boost post, because I don't, you may or may not have a credit card in there, but it's not going to be anything that will be non-reversible. You can always fix whatever. I don't think I've got a credit card in there. Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, that's the idea. That's the whole, and just so everybody knows, that is actually what is behind Facebook in terms of their business model. Their idea is to try to gain, and I know it's going to sound, you know, like it's they're knowing a little bit too much about us, but their whole idea and their whole game plan with marketing is to try to figure out what is it that you want, what is it that you like, and how can we offer that back up to you through marketing. And so that is why when we go over here under detailed marketing and you click browse, as I mentioned, I just went down that one list here. But if you look over here, there's interests, there's behaviors, there's more categories. If you're looking for folks that are interested in music, and if you don't even know what the heck to look for up here, you can start typing music. And it's going to be, okay, let's pick people that like arts and music. Let's also pick some folks that like music in general, musical interests. Let's do classical music. I'm curious to see if they have pipe organ music in here. No. Organ music. Let's say it's a piano organ. You want to make sure you tap that in there too. piano interest. So if we go ahead and we have that inside of the detailed targeting, it's going to only market to people that like these sort of things. So Elizabeth, that's an excellent point. I had almost forgotten about it. That's how we target. That's how you target and bring those folks that are in that, you know, cloud of 800,000 that I mentioned earlier, and get them to target. And in other words, you get the most bang for your buck, like you were saying, Elizabeth. So if I went ahead and I highlighted those folks and I X'd out of that, are you sure you want to? I hope it doesn't erase it all. Yeah, it did. Then it would actually adjust the potential reach, because it will take into account those new demographics that we did in the detailed targeting. And that's actually the more appropriate way to do it. Yeah.
That is just fascinating to me. It really is, Shannon. So you can really drill down to who you want to attend your event.
Yeah. I think, you know, Azalea Park, United Methodist. I think to kind of recap, what you want to do is you want to do a radius that's about 20 miles from the church itself. Okay, when you're going to do it, when you do an audience like this, you're going to go into detailed targeting, like we said, and you're going to put in there as many interests as you think, you know, or that you guys can come up with. Organ music. I'm so glad they added that.
It could be opera, it could be choir,
Could
right?
be opera, could be choral, Gregorian chant, so on and so forth. And then what I do is I click Save Audience. See, it's added all of these folks into that. See that here? And what it does is it also adjusts all of that, all of those potential reaches we have.
Well, I would encourage, and I know we don't all have deep pockets, but I would encourage you to try this. Try it for one event coming up, even if it's a virtual event, and just see what kind of reach you have and what kind of attendance you have.
Yeah, and you don't have to use, like here it says 13 days, and then what it did is it's actually only spending $2 a day. And you have the opportunity to reach on a daily basis between 500 and 1,500 people that have these interests and that are within 20 miles of the church where we're having the David Higgs concert. And I've done it in the past. We've done it in the past, and we do have people that show up to the concerts and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it on Facebook. And I've had, at least when I was dean, I've had a couple people join that saw our stuff on Facebook. You can do a whole nother campaign just based on, you know, why you should be a member of the, I don't know, Arizona chapter or the Central Florida AGO chapter of the American Guild of Organists, and see if you can reach out to anybody. But that's how that one works.
Well, Shannon, thank you so much. We sort of have come to the time of allotted for this, but I think we are going to have to, based on your schedule, do a whole other webinar now on YouTube. But to me, this is fascinating. I mean, this is the future. This is where we need to be looking if we are going to grow our audience and grow our membership. And that's what we all want. So I want to thank you so very, very much
Oh, my pleasure.
taking us through all of this. And as I said, this will be recorded. It'll probably be uploaded tomorrow. I'll make an announcement about it, and there'll be a handout with it. And thank you again to our speaker. I just want to remind everyone, or actually make an announcement, that on October 25th, it's been quite a while since the AGO has had a town hall meeting. So we are going to invite, we hope every chapter officer can attend. It's going to be informative, lots of Q&A. James Thomashour, our executive director, is going to go over presenting our new 3-year strategic plan. Joshua Freeman, our chief technology officer, is, I think I might need a drum roll for this, is actually going to talk about the new database that we have selected. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Year of the Young Organist and share some of the things that you are doing out there that are so incredible. So this will be on October 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and there'll be a registration link up under webinars, under education, and we'll go ahead and we'll promote it. So I want to thank you again, Shannon. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this. I know we could go on for a long time, but I think we just want to be mindful of your time, Shannon, and everyone else's. But we will schedule another webinar on using YouTube, because I can see that could definitely be a whole other session. So with that, I'll just say thank you so very much to everybody. Take care, stay well, and we'll see you soon.